Getting a bunch of stereo tracks to mix from a client or on your tracks can add up really quick. But when you dig deep into that audio, are they really stereo? Let's take a look. When working in Logic Pro, I've gotten used to making all my tracks stereo, even though I know that most of them are mono, from kicks, snares, basses, you know what I mean. But then when it comes to exporting those tracks, cause now I need to mix the song, I'm too lazy to go back and make what mono tracks are stereo back to mono and so forth. So I just export everything as a stereo track. And it looks like I'm not the only one. When it's time to mix someone else's track, everything is in stereo. And so at that point in time, now my duty is to get this large session back into a manageable, cohesive song. And the more people I talk to that mix records, they go through the same thing. So I thought, what is the easiest, best way of finding out if a track or a piece of audio is really stereo or if it's just mono? So let's go through a few examples. Let's start off with a kick. That's a cool Roland 909 standard kick. Great for dance music, R&B, and so on. So there's a couple ways I can do this. Let me show you the long way first, which is in the old way I used to do it, and then let me show you the new way to do it. That's very quick. So let's go ahead and select a track, then go to the top, and where you see track, hit that, and then you'll see split into mono. Now, as you can see, I've already done it, and these are the tracks right here. Perfect. So now, let's go ahead and mute the original track and unmute the new tracks, the new mono tracks that was created from split to mono. Great. Now, as you can see, I have both of these tracks up the middle as far as pan, and at the top here, you can see a trim plugin. Let's go ahead and unmute that. Now, when I select the trim plugin, it'll pull it up, and if you look here, this is called a phase button. Usually, when you pull this plugin up, this will show a light gray. Let's go ahead and select it. Now, you see it as a bright yellow. This puts the track out of phase. If you're not sure what phase means, please pause this video and go look up what phase means, or out of phase. It's very important and it's a cool trick in mixing, but in this case, we're gonna use it to see if the stereo audio is truly stereo or if it's really mono. So now, let's listen to the tracks with the trim plugin muted. Okay, great. Now, let's unmute the trim plugin and see what happens. Okay, so no sound. So that means that this kick, it's really mono because one side actually phases out the other side, meaning the right side had phased out the left side. So if something is panned left and right, put it to mono and then put a trim plugin on it to put it out of phase to see if the audio is really either stereo or mono. Now, let's go back to the original track. I'm going to show you a quicker way to do this. Check this out. So I have 3 plugins here. Time Adjuster by Avid, the McDSP F202, and the Schoeps Omnichannel. Now I'm going to start off with the Time Adjuster plugin, since that comes with Pro Tools. Now, we want to make sure that we don't leave the panning in full stereo. We want to put it up the middle, mono, because if we left it full stereo, well, let me just show you how it would sound. See, it just sounds phasey, but when we put it up the middle, it sounds like this. Okay, great. So now let's put the Time Adjuster plugin, the left side, out of phase by clicking this button. Now let's see what happens. And as you can see, no audio, meaning that the left side is out of phase with the right side, and since it's straight up the middle, it's just phase canceling. So that's another way you can do it. But let's just say you're not in Pro Tools and you want another plugin to do this. Let's say you're in Logic. Well, this is a great plugin to do it with, McDSP. As I know, Logic has multi-mono. Now, when you do this, you want to use multi-mono, because you have to unlink the left and the right, so that way they're independent. So once you unlink them, and in Pro Tools it's right here, now when I do something on the left side, well, it only affects the left side and leaves the right side alone, like this. And again, it's out of phase because this phase button right here is selected. Let me play it again without the phase button selected. And now with. Okay, great. Now, let me show you another plugin you can do it with. In case your DAW doesn't have multi-mono, let's pull up the Schoeps Omni channel. The only thing we're gonna use is the input channels over here. And if we play this right now, of course, it's gonna sound like this. But if we put one of these out of phase, it's going to sound like this. Ha, no sound, because it's out of phase. As long as you have these straight up the middle, you can see if it's truly a mono signal or a stereo signal. Let's take another instance. Let's take a snare. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is put the panning in mono. Then pull up the time adjuster plugin and click on the phase button. Now, it doesn't matter if it's left or right, as long as you don't hit both of them. Now, let's check it out. And as we can see, the snare is a mono snare, not a stereo snare. So what I would do then is split it into mono. I still want to keep the original track, or original sound, or original audio file. So I would just disable the stereo track. And then I would get rid of one of these tracks. Doesn't matter which one, the left or right, because remember, they're both the same file. So look, you can use this on basses, keyboards, drum loops, that's a big one, effects, even vocals. I sometimes get stereo vocals, like a lead or background vocals, and it's not really a stereo audio track. So I have to go through this tedious way of doing things. But as I've shown you, I could do it really fast and get right back into mixing. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, leave a comment at the bottom. And don't forget to like and subscribe and pass on the word about the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next video.